Hello, I'm Charlene of the Rainbow Frequency, and today, today we're going to turn some lights on. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. We're going to do a psychometry, which is the psychic art of reading objects, and an energy reading using some cards for their visual glory. And I also got some new decks, so it's fun to play. Let's see, we got the Moon Oracle by Caroline Smith and John Astrup, and the Crystal Wisdom Healing Oracle by Judy Hall. So we'll tap into those a little bit later. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so first and foremost, who am I? I am Charlene of the Rainbow Frequency, like I stated. I work as an energy balancing practitioner, certified as a Reiki teaching master, and both Yusoi's Sikkim Reiki as well as Oceanic Reiki. Oceanic Reiki takes traditional methods and combines shell healing and a more shamanic guided meditative process to the mix. I work to restore balance. I work with individuals, I work with families, I work with homes, buildings, the land, animals. I'm not picky. I really am here to work with that universal energy that is supportive and loving, that wants to facilitate people being at their best, well, people at all being at their best, thriving and flourishing, to support the whole oneness, the whole ecosystem that is, we're in this together. So personally, by healing more than just people, it's putting that work into more than just one lifetime worth of effort. At the same time, working with individuals, I do very much believe in quantum physics, and that it also helps heal the past, the present, and the future. So all of this work is deeply important to me. I am an intuitive empath, which is to say that I connect on an emotional level to read circumstances and situations. I have a lot of psychic gifts. I'm very fortunate. I've been spending all of my life studying odd things by most people's standards at the time, but really digging into the various esoteric arts. Really, I've loved learning as much as I can about the metaphysical and divination. I started when I was 15 and I'm 44 now. So I've been doing this a hot minute. When I became a Reiki teaching master, at the end of it all, my teacher told me that I was now an authority of myself. And then I thought, wait a second, shouldn't I always have been an authority of myself? So I'm here to help people realize that they are an authority of themselves and that they should take ownership of their own energy, learn how to harness it, balance it, and maintain it, because you are one variable and a whole kit and caboodle of an equation. Like, let's think about this. You're one person on the planet, and then there's a whole cosmos around us, and it all has its effect on each other. So, we started with psychometry, is the psychic reading of objects. One of my abilities, I'm clairsentient, so I connect on an emotional level. So that is through feelings and emotions. There is a philosophy, a scientific thought, as well as a spiritual philosophy that people, as well as objects, places such as buildings, homes, and the land, hold memory through experience. I've talked about this before, so forgive me if you've heard it. That's to say that a lot of times humans think that it's all about them and that they're the only ones having emotions, thoughts, and feelings, where it isn't the case. Recently I learned that homes that are abandoned decay faster than homes that have people living within them and are neglecting the house all the same. It's that being valued, being in service. It's important to more than meets the eye. It's also something to be considered that it has effect on you, like when you go places where there's a lot of stress and all of a sudden you feel like you're crawling out of your skin, you might be an empath or highly sensitive person. Like I love that in my lifetime, I have seen us have quite the uptick on understanding psychological conditions. We used to consider them disorders. I'd like to think that we're moving more so to considering that we all are unique and we're all on the spectrum, and that we have our own attributes, skill sets, and gifts, things that are in our wheelhouses, so to speak, to work with, and we need to realize them and learn to work with them to the best of our abilities instead of vilifying them and thinking that there's necessarily something wrong with us. I think a lot of times, if we don't understand ourselves, we'll think that it's something that we're doing wrong, and then that becomes anxiety or a disorder, disease within us, and it has a physical symptom that presents. So it's just that, like, if you don't take the time to understand who you are and how you function, you're gonna be a bit of a mess. So stop, breathe, get to know yourself. I mean, as a hairstylist for 20 years, so many people would sit in my chair and tell me that they didn't know what they liked to do for fun. They didn't know what their hobbies were. And it's just like, stop going through the motions of living and doing all the things that you think you should do, and take a little bit of time to have that quiet contemplation and get to know yourself. I mean, that's my first step working with people. And I've worked with people in recovery. I've worked with people who feel stuck in their lives. I've worked with people who are grieving, who've got any number of circumstances and situations. Again, I'm not picky. If you want to do the work and get uncomfortable of looking at your wounds instead of just covering them up, then let's do that work. Anyway, hello to every single one of you. Thank you all for being here. Let's get down into it and let's read some objects. All right, this is my own bone casting bag. That's a bunch of objects, as well as some bones and teeth and things that I found gifted to me from the universe, causing no harm to anyone or anything. Let's see what wants to be said. What wants to speak to us? Stay on the table, please. I like to take 3 objects. Sometimes more comes out and I let it be, you know? I am a voice for the message that wishes to be conveyed. I am unbiased. A lot of times I just have to trust and let it come out because it doesn't necessarily always make sense to my brain as I'm getting ready to utter it. But in my work, in channeling messages, being the mouthpiece, it isn't necessarily for me to understand in the moment that I'm speaking it. So I have to get out of my own way. All right. Woo! Throwing it on the floor. All right. First off, we got pyrite. I want to do some close-ups for the individual. All right, so pyrite. Now, this is a bit of an unfair advantage because I am a big lover of natural objects and crystals I have studied. But, you know, pyrite, its properties are that of like building abundance, building confidence. It's that energy. Pure honey is what wants to come out. Like that, like for some cultures, honey was gold, you know? So it's just that is that abundance, life building energy that is supportive and expansive, like the sun. You know, again, suns are symbolic of abundance as well and life generating. So it's, you know, really, let's tap into right now where we are so that we can put this message into context. If you're watching this live, which you are, my audience that we're connecting right now, but in the future when others, you know, this is timeless and going forward. So at the moment that I'm recording this, we're getting out of our Mercury Retrograde, which was all about reworking, revising, those RE words to re-envision, rebuild, remodel where we've been. We've had a lot of letting go of karmic cycles, past life trauma. Again, everyone's their own individual, so this I'm trying to be expansive in how this applies. Behaviors, patterns, belief systems. We've had to rework and rebuild ourselves in some ways, reboot. And, you know, maybe kind of face the music in a couple circumstances or places and take ownership of our own actions in such things. So it's just that, okay, really taking hard stock if you are up for it and trying to figure out how you want to go forward in a positive direction. You are sick, perhaps, of where you are, tired of it going around in the same circle. So you're trying to think outside of the box and come up with pragmatic and proactive applications of self, of how things are working perhaps in your career, in group dynamics. It's a whole expansive arena that this applies to, because really, let's not put those blinders on and only think of one aspect of our life. Like, if only I do this in this one place, everything will be better. Because no, it all ripples outward. It's all connected. Your patterns exist wherever you go. Chew on that for a second. So it's true. You have to take ownership of it and see what's going on and what you can do with it. And part of that is also building confidence in yourself instead of belittling yourself or diminishing yourself because it isn't going exactly as you want it to. Because, that's a defeatist attitude, right? In order to really generate and manifest that outward abundance, you have to start from the inside and build it out. And it takes time. You can't just get frustrated and throw in the towel because it isn't on your clock. So see how tiny this pirate is? Wait for it. And grow it bigger. Just saying. Takes time to heal whatever it is. It takes time to rebuild. Like Rome wasn't built in a day is a saying for a reason. Then we got the acorn. Acorns, again, are about abundance. A lot of things in nature are about abundance. It's that oneness. But the acorn, from the teeny tiny little acorn, grows the mighty oak tree, which is symbolic of wisdom, of stability, solid foundation. And then tree root systems, we now know, are connected to the other root systems, the community, if you will, of the natural kingdom that they're connected to. And it isn't just oak trees talking to oak trees. Nature communicates to each other to acknowledge that there's a threat or a pest coming in and warn each other that it's coming, or where water is, it will help communicate that through vibration so that others can have that nourishment. Isn't that beautiful? Are we above that? No. Should we not think on that and maybe try to be a little bit more in balance with that? Personally, I think so. Then we got this ship. Notice I didn't call it a battleship. Let's reconceptualize this as not necessarily being a battleship, because it would prefer to be more like a cruise ship going forward with everything that you need, a sacred vessel taking you on your own path, flowing where you want to go, that's best suited for you and your talents and gifts. Like, you didn't come here to be like anyone else. You came here to be you. You came here to learn something. You came here to learn into your gifts and talents and perhaps cultivate them in this lifetime to be even stronger. Or, some of us have to atone perhaps for previous lifetimes, but you don't hold on to that guilt. You have to process it, atone, and then focus on this life, doing something with this life that is better. Not to get preachy, but personally, this is the work I'm in. And to me, this ship being so large is able to hold community, hold safe harbor if needed for companionship, because it's strong enough into itself to not lose itself within that, but support relationship. Because isn't that what we crave, a lot of us, is to be seen and heard as our own selves within relationship? At least, again, I'm a lover. All right. This object wanted to come before you in support. It's, to me, very beautiful energy. I'm going to give a moment to you all who are here on the channel to give you a chance to tell me if any of you know what it is. Sorry, my bangs are, there's a hair. I got a wild hair bugging me. Anyone? I'll be Vanna Gray for you. Give a close up. I'll give you a little clue. Flight risk. Hello. You're very close. Flight risk says looks sort of like a skull or part of a shell. Both land for me personally, but again, I think very expansively. Anyone else? Giving a moment. I'm learning to slow my roll down. It is a fossilized whale eardrum. Again, Oceanic Reiki really gave me an excuse to really connect with as much natural objects as I could in a sustainable and ecologically minded way, get my hands on. Rainbow nautilus. Anyway, so whale eardrums. Whales. I mean, to me, whales have that deep, calm, protective, very parental guardianship energy. Like when I'm connected with that whale, we can go just about anywhere, any place in time. And I mean, not just about, we can go anywhere. Like I feel completely safe and secure with a whale. I know that might sound a little strange, but keep in mind that I work through guided meditation with my own self a lot every day if I can help it. And, I go swimming with whales sometimes because the world is too chaotic. So sometimes I got to go really down deep to find that peace. Sometimes I go up into the cosmos where everything's weightless and let it go there. All of us have our comfort zones. All of us have those places, those creatures that make us feel more comfortable, make us feel at home, make us feel safe. So that's where, for me, it is important to go to those meditative spaces and connect, because if we know, scientifically speaking, our bodies repair itself when we're sleeping, when we're resting. Let's think for a second that perhaps when you go into that meditative or prayer state, of consciousness, your brain, your synapses, your nerves, all of that, your emotional wavelength is getting soothed and restored. Yoga is also, a form of active meditation. So is Tai Chi. So many things, Qigong, dancing. There's so many different ways. I mean, again, I've said this many times, but for me, washing dishes can be an active meditative process. Sweeping for monks, I've said this, there's so many different ways. Some people it's working out. Some people, it's just going for a walk in the neighborhood, sitting out in nature with a cup of coffee or tea or water or whatever the hell you want. It's just taking that time to not be caught up in the motions of your day-to-day human existence, and to really, if you want to get down basic, to slow yourself down so you can actually breathe. And then a lot of us, no offense, are very sedentary in our lives. So it's very healthy to put your body into motion. So the whale also speaks of, slowing down, but staying in that meditative motion as much as you can. There is such a thought as living your life like a living prayer. And it doesn't have to be a life of self-denial and self-flagellation. No. It's about self-awareness, right intention, right action, discernment that is based in your all of your parts and pieces, heart, mind, body, soul, get it all together. A lot of us feel lost or disjointed or a big jangly mess because it is about getting it all of your parts and pieces into that peaceful alignment and not leaving anybody out of the party. Like, something that really sticks out is that, like, the lesson from Sleeping Beauty. Why was there such a mess in that story? It's very simple, and it's very human, and it happens all the time. We get our panties in a bunch because we feel left out, and then we act out because we're hurt. So it's just like, no, like, why do we keep stuck in that story when we should all learn to coexist and supportive? You be you, I be me. We're all here for a reason, and we all have a function and a purpose, and it's valuable. That's what I'm hoping the Aquarian age, this evolution of consciousness, is leading us towards. It's also something where in my lifetime we have moved to where we're allowing for the expansion of our consciousness into new territories, such as seeing people as highly sensitive people that are not freaks of nature, but just maybe more attuned to what's happening around them and need to learn how to manage it. Like I've said before, we're learning that psychic abilities are not something to necessarily scoff at, and that there are people who have these abilities, characteristics, traits, gifts, however you wish to define it. And instead of looking at them like they're insane, looking at it more as like, let's learn to develop these so it's not an affliction. That's what I'm here for, in part. Like, I want to help teach people this about themselves. There's so many people that once they make it plausible by talking to me and seeing that I'm doing it and that it's real, that then they look at themselves and they're like, well, I've always had this experience, or this has always happened. And I'm like, yeah, you came here designed as you are. You don't need anyone to give you a gift or to teach you necessarily. I mean, that's not true. You go to teachers and they can teach you many things, yes. But a lot of us have our own innate gifts and abilities, and it's more so you have a guide that helps you discover how to best work with yourself. That's my personal goal as a teacher. I don't want to teach people a formula of how to be a sheeple and do it just so, because no, we're all different. We all have our skill sets that apply to whatever it is that you're doing. For me personally, I started off as a hairstylist because I really wanted to connect with people and help them feel better about themselves and like build their confidence through liking their own hair as it is and working with it instead of fighting it to look like someone else. And then, behind the chair, I realized that I had different psychic abilities because I'd know when people were canceling on me, or, I just knew certain things beforehand. Or then really, there is such a thing as talking soul to soul with someone. And there are many different ways to articulate what I'm saying, but it's when you're in conflict with somebody or a circumstance, situation, you go into that heart space, that meditative or prayer-like state, and you speak with them heart to heart about whatever it is. So prior to getting into spirituality, if there was a circumstance where I knew I was going to be really revamping someone's hair in a dramatic way, for example, I'd get excited. So I'd be getting ready for the day, and in my mind, I'd just see it, the conversation in action. A lot of times I didn't really think about what I was doing. And a lot of people do this. I'm not the only one. You have a preparation conversation in your mind to get ready and feel better about it going in. And if, you're doing it in more of that heart space way, sometimes you go into the circumstance and situation and you're like, well, how odd. It's so much easier to have the conversation in real life. Like, it doesn't even need to happen so much, or it's just smoother than anticipated. And that's that soul to soul conversation, because again, we compartmentalize ourselves to the nth degree, and we're not just a physical body. Our souls are eternal. My belief system. All right. Oh, I put them over here. I often get annoyed with myself because I'm not perfect, and I'm recovering still from wanting to be perfect. And then it's funny because even like in that process, I have to get comfortable when other people get upset that I'm not doing it perhaps the way that they expected, in my day-to-day life. And it's just that like I get caught up because I am so emotionally connected. I want to have everything go perfectly balanced and beautifully, but I'm also a human being, so I can't compartmentalize myself either. I have to be comfortable with the fact that in that oneness, we're all having our own unique experience. So complicated, but very important. Like, I'm not responsible for your gratification, your satisfaction. I'm actively trying not to be a detriment, but at the same time, right? Like, You have to keep it all in balance. All right, let's ask the moon what the moon has to say. And depending on where you are on the 9th or thereabouts, we're going to have a full moon in Aries. Aries is very interesting energy. It can be argumentative and combative, but at the same time, it's also about leadership and really a beautifully emotional, progressive energy to work with together if you don't get caught up in the emotions. Ooh, we got Kali. Which again, this just further speaks that perfectly to me. Kali is that classic depiction of a mother, warrior goddess that has to balance those sides of her nature or their nature. Blue often speaks of that connection to the divine, truth, that voice. Past lives is also connected to this color, throat chakra. Her skirt, or their skirt, is yellow and green. You know, yellow is symbolic of the solar plexus, that confidence, again, that soul purpose, abundance, inner abundance. Green, symbolic of the heart chakra. So it's kind of dancing that equilibrium, dancing to that beat that is equal parts fueled by your soul and self purpose and builds you up, but from the heart space, so that you can be that balance in the world and not destructive. It's difficult, you know, because having boundaries in a loving manner, having healthy relationships, there's an ebb and flow of energy in all things. You know, you can't just constantly give. You have to have that time where you rebuild yourself, you restore yourself, so that then you can go back to it. You know, the ocean, we have those tides ebbing and flowing for a reason. All right, let's read. Okay. Where the heck? There we go. And again, hello to everyone who's here. All right, Kali, the Black Mother, Hindu goddess of nature, ogress wife of the great god Shiva, stands balanced on one foot. Her face is stern, and a drop of blood can be seen between her dark eyebrows. She dances the ecstatic dance of victory that makes the earth quake. She has 4 arms, 2 emerging from each shoulder. She carries in one hand a goblet, which signifies her drinking of the blood of the demon Raktavija. In another hand, she holds a knife, and in the other, the severed heads of 2 of her giant victims. Her headdress is decorated with more heads and serpents. She is a fearsome character, and her blue skin contrasts with the blood of the red sky behind her. Beneath the image are the symbols for the fire sign Sagittarius and the moon disk of the Black Goddess. The myth. Kali Ma is just one of the many personas of the wife of Shiva. I'm not certain, so sorry. Anyway, how to pronounce these things all together. This goddess assumed many guises in her work, the destruction of demons that challenged the gods. In the name of Parvati, she was perceived as a beautiful young woman who spoke with her husband of love and lofty metaphysical subjects. As horrific Kali, she fought with the chief of the armies of demons, Raktavija. She struck him many times with her powerful weapons, but each drop of his blood that fell to the earth gave birth to 1,000 powerful giants. To stop the creation of giants, Kali was forced to drink every drop of Raktavija's blood until the chief demon was totally defeated. After conquering her adversary, she was so elated she danced a dance of joy so enthusiastically that the whole earth shook. The other guides pleaded with her husband to ask her to stop, but she was so crazed with the blood and excitement that she trampled Shiva to death. She was distraught when she discovered the result of her madness. Despite her horrifying appearance, she was venerated and even became attractive to her followers. She represented both creative and destructive energy. The cult of Kali is linked to the tantric practices that seek to control our sexual nature. The card meaning. Drawing the goddess Kali reveals that whatever your opposition, you must pursue a policy of no mercy if you wish to achieve success. Action without inhibition is demanded, and you will need to be ruthless in sticking to your plans. However, it is important to realize that if you gloat over the defeat of your opponent, then something you value will be lost. As with all black goddesses, you will not find a solution in which you come out of the matter unscathed. Often, the appearance of Kali in a reading, the old astrological answer to a bad moon position in horary questions, no good will come of it, will apply. Kali is the most drastic of the black goddesses, and in her death and rebirth role, seeks to destroy all that is thought to be a threat to survival. The blunt and adventurous quality of the fire in Sagittarius searches for the ultimate truth no matter how or where it is to be found. If the goddess Kali card is selected, then December will be an auspicious month with regard to the question. All right, let's back that thing up and apply it to us. Personally, my interpretation is be dedicated to your goals. Take steps each day to building towards those heartfelt ambitions when dealing with life and circumstances and other people. Hold to your truth and yourself and your purpose, but also be compassionate. Be in that heart space. Be kind. And when we talk about unconditional love, it's as important to be unconditionally loving to yourself as it is to others. So it's that balance that's important. And if you find yourself acting out in ways that feel like bad behavior, then it's also your message that you need to have better boundaries and balance yourself so that you're not resentful. Not to be overly harsh in that, but it's just those are your emotional cues. When you deplete yourself, you tend to lash out. Just saying. It's how we exist as humans. What I've noticed, because I was a hairstylist for 20 years. That also, I had wanted to possibly go into things like anthropology, psychology, etymology, even the study of language. And it was, these are things that I couldn't necessarily see myself in a career doing because I really wanted to engage with people. So then, having gotten to be a hairstylist for 20 years, I got to operate as a bit of a social scientist and just observe different people and their lives and build relationship with them and, lend them my ear while I'm cutting their hair, as well as, sometimes offer heartfelt information. Matilda, settle down. My dog is going crazy. Sorry. In the process of all of that. And I love it. I love engaging and connecting with people and listening to them and offering back to them. A lot of times, the real purpose in my work isn't to show off my psychic gifts and talents as much as to be a reflector, reinforce what you're hearing for yourself, because a lot of times people won't listen to themselves. They won't believe in themselves. That's what I'm here for. All right, what do the crystals want to say? Take middle and take the bottom. This is funny to me because also here that wanted to come forward is selenite. And the bottom of the deck, we got selenite. We'll start there then. All right, so selenite. Again, I love crystals. I love their energy. I love their staying power. If you think about it, like a lot of the rocks, crystals, these things around us have been here way longer than us and will continue if taken care of properly. Selenite is fragile, but will last way longer than a lot of living creatures. So to me, it's just like, how can you look down on such an amazing object? And then, take a moment. I'm going to run this down your chakra line. And I will say, you watch television all the time and willingly suspend your disbelief. So, some of you might look at me like, what the heck is she saying? Like, how could she run a crystal in front of a screen and have it do anything? Open your mind, open your heart if you choose to, and feel the energy that I'm transmitting of selenite. Balance, protective, supportive energy. Selenite is very connected to that lunar energy, hence the name selenite, Selene, the goddess of the moon. It's very intuitive. It's very cleansing and purifying. It's a great crystal to have in your home or office because it helps keep that energy in that peaceful, pure state, neutralizing out as needed the toxins, if you will. It helps repair auric fields and many other things. Let's see what the card has to say. 21. Here we go. I love it when I flip to the page of the book. I'm like, thanks. Divine light. In the ancient world, selenite protected against the wandering of the mind. It invokes mental clarity and divine inspiration. Spirituality is vital for you. You are a translucent soul who moves fluidly through time. Use insights wisely. Avoid confusing past with present. You see into people's hearts to what motivates them. Do not be manipulated or too eager to please. Stand by what you know. You have the gift of clarity and mental flexibility with the power to make excellent decisions. A situation, or the divination, a situation is unpredictable no matter how solid it appears. Be prepared for challenges and changes. Banish confusion. Clarity is needed. Allow divine light to inspire the future. Perhaps let go of something dear to you. Parting does not mean loss of love. Reconciliation is possible. Make the first move. Overheard conversations enlighten you. The healing insight is being in the flow strengthens your well-being. Like right now, things are changing, things are shifting. Things are, for all people, like we were talking about, people are rebalancing themselves, their companies, their existences, reconfiguring. You know, like we've been in a very turbulent time where we've had to change how we even meet with people, you know, having to go more online to connect, you know, having to do business in different ways than before. So that's to say, like, know that everyone's going through it. Hold on to what's right for you and what's best for you, but in a collaborative, heartfelt manner, you know. And you might let go of some things, but it might be that you're letting go of the dynamic how it was so that it can shift to a better, more functional one instead. So, you know, don't hold on to something just because you're afraid of what might happen, is also what's coming through for me. Then we got Flint. Sorry for the glare, but Flint. All right. Do I have any Flint? I don't think do I have Flint? I don't know that I have it. Anyway, Flint. Well, it sparks fires now, doesn't it? That's the first obvious direction to go. It's a deeply just tapping into the energy for myself and to give it to you. It is a very grounding energy that also holds that spark of expansion in it. Let's see. Portal power. Well, yes, there you go. Flint stabilizes energy and cuts through to the core of issues, clearing blockages and loosening ties. It opens portals to other worlds and hidden aspects of yourself. All right, the self-understanding. You are a person with profound inner depths. Do not be afraid to explore this hidden side. It contains treasure beyond knowing, together with the attitudinal karma and repressed emotions affecting, well, hold on, let's back that up. It contains treasure beyond knowing, together with attitudinal karma and repressed emotions affecting well-being. Flint connects you to ancestors. A natural traveler, you know how to negotiate the shamanic underworld to obtain healing insights. I'll just say, you know, that is what you do to me when you're meditating. You go in to that internal landscape to gain insights. For me, then the fun is to come out of it and unpack what's been brought forward. And it takes time, a lot of times, to understand it. But then again, I love symbolism. I love poetry. I like research. So that's how I get there. Everyone's different, but it's not necessarily this black and white message. It takes time to like sit and reflect with it. And what does that mean to me? What is the lesson in that? The divination. Strengthen your protection. Consolidate plans and be realistic. You'll soon see the way through obstacles. Ensure you are well protected. Ill wishing or envy may be directed your way. Neutralize bad energy without harm to others. Watch your thoughts. Attend to practical matters. Be generous and give others freedom. A lot of times, I will say, like, because of what we think is going to be best, or because what's best for us, a lot of times we'll apply it out to others. And if you're in relationship with others, they have their own way of getting there, don't they? That's part of what that's saying. I don't often always go to the books because I like to listen to the message for the moment of what's coming for me. But the healing insight. Neutralizing toxic energies from your environment, shielding yourself from ill-wishing or EMF stress, and detoxifying your body supports well-being. Oh, sorry. Just kidding. Made a mistake. Healing insight. And I read the wrong one to us, so I'm sorry. Let me redo that. Divination. Strengthen your boundaries. Cut through the confusion to the core of the matter. Soul retrieval is necessary if you left any part of yourself in another life or abusive childhood experience. An unwelcome visitor from the past can be left behind, but recognize lessons before you move on. Then the healing insight, paying attention to energetic boundaries and core strength, cutting detrimental ties and strengthening your connection to the planet, maintains well-being. I think both apply, so there we go. Not to say that I explain away all my mistakes, but before you can move on to your new plans, you have to address where you need to cut through confusion and get to the core of the matter. And a lot of times, we'll just say on the whole, this message so far is really about if you're very empathetic, if you're very attuned, receptive, which a lot of the people that come to my channel are, that's why I'm doing this, then you have to be very self-aware of what you're feeling, if it's yours, if it's not yours, what your part in it responsibly is, what you don't need to take ownership of or absorb. It's an ongoing filtration process for yourself and wherever you go. And then, it's then sometimes really needing to take that moment to detoxify yourself, to let go of whatever you might have inadvertently picked up, so that then you can get back to balance and go back at it. So it's just, that's where it is about getting disciplined, being self-aware, and then going into it as clear-headed and as balanced as you can, so that you can recognize when it's not personal and that other party or person is just losing it and trying to figure it out for themselves, right? And then don't pick up other people's problems as your own if you don't need to, or if it's not appropriate. Because a lot of times, especially we'll say like as a parent, you get so caught up in the other person and their life and wanting it to go well that it's not necessarily what is best for the situation. Sometimes if we help another person too much, they're not doing what they need to for themselves, and that's their existence. That's what they need in their existence. But apply this as you will to your own circumstance, right? Okay, so then we end it with Adjoite, compassionate being. Adjoite brings about a profound spiritual revelation, drawing out karmic wounds. This crystal reframes cellular memory and past contracts. The self-understanding is, you are a being of infinite love and compassion. Find your core of ultimate peace and universal love. Release your toxic emotions. Replace them with forgiveness, compassion, and serenity. What you have been through allows you to appreciate the pain of another's path. Do not absorb their pain. Remain dispassionate. Detach gracefully and move on. I love it when I'm saying the message that's coming through to me, and then I pull up the card, and then I'm reading you the book. I don't know that you can read it, but it's there in the words. And it is. Be empathetic. Be compassionate. Be aware. But don't absorb the pain. If anything, hold space and offer companionship, relationship. It's not, taking it all away. It's that being that supportive energy that's there so that the person doesn't feel alone, right? That's the balance of it. Divination. Put down your burdens, knowing you are a being of light. Resolve conflicts and forgive those who wounded you. Give someone a second chance, if you feel that that's appropriate. Honor your promises. Find the best solution for everyone. Let your dispassionate compassion encompass all. Let's say that again. Let your dispassionate compassion encompass all. Charity or volunteer work is indicated. The healing insight. Immerse yourself in love automatically leads to health and happiness. I will say, again, I don't always necessarily agree entirely with the messages written in books, because for me and a lot of people, and there's record of this in that labyrinth symbol, it isn't automatic. I'm sorry, but that's part of the problem, is that we want instant gratification. If anything, a big part of this message is it isn't instant gratification. The road towards recovery or healing journeys or mending your own wounds because you've gathered them over a lifetime, it takes some time to get there. And if we're in a period where we're reconstructing our realities, our existences, we're going from one era to another, we're expanding our consciousnesses, it takes time to rebuild and reconstruct and get comfortable in that new territory, and seeing it through, letting the vision build from the heart and then exist in your day to day. So, that's why people journal. That's why people build vision boards. That's why people, celebrate each victory and each step, because it's part of the perseverance. So, best wishes, all the love, keep going, taking those steps, because at the end of it all, like, you can look back after a month, after 6 weeks, after 3 months, after a year, and see your progress, and make sure you celebrate and tip your cup to yourself in honor of how far you've come, because you're here. So do something with it, right? For yourself, as yourself, actualizing to the best possible version of yourself, so that you can look back at your lifetime and be proud of yourself. And then, for me, it's also having contributed to the ecosystem around me. So feel that energy. Build it up, Buttercup, so that it's stable and secure. Best wishes, all the love. I'm here if you want me. The Rainbow Frequency 77 at gmail.com is my email. I have links to book with me, so I'm here if you want me. See you next time.